got to be honest, it's been a pretty challenging week. Here in Israel, we're in the middle of the third week of our lockdown. And in the Gola and the diaspora, it's really not that much better. How do we find a sense of optimism when things are really so challenging? Hey everybody, this is Ruvain Spolter from Kitah.org. And I want to share with you this week's Kitah message of the week. I'm going to show you from one pasuk. We're going to learn in the text and a Rashi just how hopeful the Jewish people were when things were their bleakest, when things were their darkest, when things looked most frightening. A lesson that all of us can take as we try to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's take a look at the psukim. So Parshat Beshalach contains Az Yashir, the Shirat Hayam, the great song that the Jewish people sang, led by Moshe Rabbeinu, after they left the Yam Suf, after they were miraculously saved. But the Torah tells us, after we read Az Yashir, the Torah tells us that while Moshe Rabbeinu took the men and they sang their song, the women were in the women's section, wherever that was. The Torah tells us, Vatikach Miriam HaNeviah, Achot Aaron, Miriam the Neviah, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, she took et hatof biyada, she took her drum in her hand, Vatetzena kol hanashim achareha, betupim ubemecholot, and the women all went out after her, after, with drums and with dance. So it's very nice. And then they sang Shiru L'Hashem, Miriam at the women's section, and they had their song. Moshe Rabbeinu, I guess, was with the men. They sang their song. But Rashi, based on the Midrash, asks a wonderful question. Where did they get their drums from? You know, if you were leaving the land of Israel and you were rushing out and they had to bake their matzah, would you bring your guitar? Would you bring your drum? Would you bring your tambourine? Would that be the first thing you took with you? Why? I mean, you're leaving. Why would you take your drums with you? So Rashi, based on the Bechilta, which is a kind of Midrash, says the following. Muftachot hayu tzadkaniyot shebador. The tzadkaniyot, from the word tzaddik. The righteous women of the generation were muftachot, from the word bitachon. Bitachon means to have faith. They were sure, they were certain, shakadosh baruch hu oseh lahem nisim, that God would do miracles for them. And for that reason, they brought their drums, they brought their tambourines with them from Egypt. Why did all the women have drums and dancing? Because there were, not all of them, there were righteous women that were so sure that God would perform miracles, that God would redeem the Jewish people. They were so sure that they brought their instruments with them to sing Shirah, to sing praise to God, once that salvation would happen. And I love the idea that muftachot is from the root of the word bitachon. We all know the word bitachon means livtoach, bitachon b'Hashem, faith in God, bitachon. And to have faith is to have a sense of certainty that in the end, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking out for us and sees the best for us and knows what's going to happen and is going to engineer things that there'll be salvation for the Jewish people. Not every one of us is one of those tzidkaniyot that's preparing already for the day after. But I think we can have that sense, or we should and we must have a sense of proportion. It's been a challenging week in Israel. Things aren't yet getting better, but we do need to have that sense of faith that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking out for us, and maybe to begin to prepare for the day after, even inoculations and vaccines, to understand that even though things are dark this week, things are challenging this week, and many people are having a difficult time, maybe if we start to make the preparations and take out our drums and tune our instruments to prepare for the light at the end of the tunnel, when those days of joy are able to take place, maybe we envision in our mind the first concert you go to, the first packed shul that you're able to have, and to experience that joy, that will give us a sense of bitachon, of faith, that day will come soon. Have a Shabbat Shalom.